Let's take a look at the markets around Africa now, and we're starting with East Africa. Later, of course, we come to South Africa, and then much later in the show to West Africa. So with Kenya, yesterday the NSE 20 index just 0.1% down there to 4721, and 7% up after the election earlier, but lost 5% in the last 5 sessions, profit-taking and concerned because that election has not been finally ratified. So there are issues there about the election candidate Raila Odinga, who was the Prime Minister, contesting that election outcome. And then the shilling firmed yesterday. Inflows of dollars from the weekly tea auction was the main reason that was ascribed for that. 85.65 to 85.65 to 85, up from 85.80 to 90 on Monday. So the shilling firmed there, and the exchange just slightly down. Let's now go to that Kenya market update with Ted Macharia, who is investment analyst at AIB Capital. Ted, let's just start with the big picture for the exchange, and what people are saying is that there's still uncertainty about that presidential election. Of course, there was uncertainty beforehand, although by and large the optimism about violence proved, or rather a lack of violence, proved to be justified, but still uncertainty. And when do we expect the court to rule, and what's your reading of what's going to happen with that?
Morning, David. Downward momentum in the market has been witnessed in the past few trading sessions, although we've been seeing that momentum sort of tapering off. Obviously, the election petition has something to do with it. The High Court has about 14 days to give out a ruling, a definite ruling. But we have seen a lot of goodwill coming from the first round. We've seen a very peaceful process. I guess the biggest beneficiary is the insurance sector. They've been collecting premiums for political risk cover that has increased because of panic buying, and they are bound to see those premiums grow at the end of the year. So basically, we are very optimistic. The process has been very peaceful, and there's a lot of quietness and calmness as the judiciary takes over the process.
Well, let's just stay with that for one more moment and look at the judiciary's view. Civil society, analysts, people like you must have an idea of whether this election is valid or not. Independent observers must have made a call. There are technology issues, I know, in the election. So what chance does this appeal have of being upheld?
I think the feelings are mixed, and they're probably split into two extremes. On the one hand, you have proponents on the side of the winning coalition saying, yes, we won, and electoral bodies have been saying that the process was free and fair. And on the other hand, you have the opposition right now that has petitioned the court saying there were some anomalies, there were some irregularities that have to be addressed, and the margins that Uhuru Kenyatta won on are very slim. Yeah. I think in the event of a runoff, we will have a better picture of a winner. We'll have a clear difference, as we'll have just the two candidates, but it's very hard to tell.
Yeah, one remembers from the South African election in 1994, there was a lot of contestation then, a lot of people voting who hadn't voted before. And of course, the term that they came up with, which broadly worked, was substantially free and fair. So in other words, they admitted that there were issues, but they said, on balance, the election was fair. It sounds like that's difficult to do in Kenya because it has been so close. Let's move on to the market now, and the bourse said to be going down because of or rather up because of the tea sales yesterday. Now the Limuru Tea Company's profits last year up by 150%, and there was a good tea sale this week. Now that happens every week, but presumably this is an exceptionally good performance.
Yes, it is, but we have to emphasize that 2011 was a very poor year for Limuru Tea. It's been mixed fortunes for the agricultural sector. On the one hand, you have Limuru Tea citing favorable weather conditions that meant they had more tea. And on the other hand, you have Williamson Tea, for instance, saying that the weather conditions were not that favorable, so there was a decrease in tea production. What boosted Limuru Tea was the fair value on the biological assets. They're still yet to revalue the new land they've acquired. We've seen their EPS grow from 33 to 84 per share. I think the biggest trading hurdle on the counter is the liquidity issue, in that they have slightly over 200,000 shares trading, so that might be a problem.
Let's go across. You mentioned the insurance sector benefiting. CIC Insurance, top gainer yesterday, 6.67% to 5 shillings 60 on what's described as speculative trading ahead of the full year results. So on the one hand, the market is calling the results. On the other hand, from what you say, still benefiting from the uncertainty.
Yes, we've seen just 3 insurance companies released their results. Pan-Africa did 56%. Britam moved into profit-making territory, posting 2.5 billion. Liberty showed about a 6% dip in profit. So fairly, we've gotten mixed results, but the bounce was very resilient in 2012. So we're expecting equity valuation portfolios to go up. We're expecting strong investment income returns from the insurance sector, and that's boosting a lot of the repositioning. We have CIC is yet to release their results, as well as Jubilee Insurance. We're also looking at ARM and Nation Media, who are releasing their results today.
Okay, and then the banking sector slightly up at 1.13, and then perhaps also comment on the agriculture sector. Mumia Sugar unchanged there. We've talked about tea, more broadly the agriculture sector generally. What are your expectations for those companies?
I think basically the banking sector is recovering from the spate of profit taking that occurred last week. So we are seeing some improved demand on most counters in that sector. I think we're also looking very keenly at Nation Media. We've said advertising revenues have gone up by about 60%, mostly on the back of strong politicking and advertisements in that campaigning season. So we're very interested in Nation Media's results. We are hoping something very strong. In the construction sector, ARM are set to release. Bamburi already released their results, which was a sort of a loss because of slowdown in development and construction just before the elections. So we're also keeping our eye on that. So basically it's the banking sector, insurance, and a few on the commercial and allied sectors.